Okay, my name is Nathaniel Williams. I live currently in Columbia County, New York. Um, yeah, sometimes when you ask a question like this, it's great to have the challenge to speak to something like this in 3 minutes, and I've appreciated every way that people have come at it. And, one of the things that initially struck me about the question was, we are the people we've been waiting for, can have a little bit of a vainglorious resonance. Like, we are the people, let's go, rally, well, I actually think that the phrase itself is always true, even when you're in the most ultimate crisis, where you actually know that you're totally powerless. There's nowhere where the metamorphosis of your life can come from other than through your I am and who you are. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a vainglorious ring. And we do need our vainglory now. We need rousing speeches. And we also need to consider, how can we face challenges within our movement, within our society, in a way that doesn't just become demoralizing. Because it is my opinion that we have a lot of challenges in our society, in our movement. I mean, I really, really believe this. And I don't want to say that with any feeling of bitter criticism towards anyone, and I have to face them in myself as well. Some of them have been touched on in the voices that have contributed so far. And one of the things that Emma shared earlier today was this connection between courage and a mildness, or the pink and the red, maybe, or the, whatever, Michael and love. And the need of being able to cross over challenges again and again, but every time the abyss truly is bottomless. And to be able to get used to that, and to be able to know that that's part of your kind of the walking the path of life. Now, there are pictures of this particular spiritual being in the Christian tradition, where a dragon is being overcome. But the interesting thing is that the depiction of the spiritual being does not show them looking at the dragon. They're not looking at the dragon. This could be a beautiful case of wishful thinking, or it could be a deep esoteric truth. And we have to be careful that it doesn't become wishful thinking. I would like to suggest that it has nothing to do with a lack of earnestness or insincerity. And if we need anything in our movement right now, besides warmth and openness, we need more earnestness, and we need more sincerity. And I want to say just a couple things about that in a moment. But before I do, I want to say the power to face the current materialism and reductionism, which, let us make no mistake about it, despite the 60s and the counterculture and Ram Dass and all of the great spiritual influxes into our culture, the Pentagon is as powerful as ever right next to this restaurant. And if it is doing any investigation in relationship to the spirit, it is the spirit as a means for power. And so it is an earnest moment. And the wishful thinking of the 60s cannot be our wishful thinking, because it will, look around the world that we're living in today. We are surrounding ourselves with images that are intentionally designed to control our thinking so that we become mindless consumers. And we call this civilization, right? This is our culture. Let's design our world like that. It is fun. It's important to laugh, because otherwise, you have to really cry, and especially for the children. But how can we face this? We can face it because we have to. I think that it's important to come through clear thinking and contemplative practice to ask questions that are actually technically not allowed today. There are a number of questions that you are not allowed to ask today. The easiest way for anthroposophy to move forward would be to consider itself a New Age religion and to become a subject of sociological study and a New Age religious community. And let me tell you, we would join a great shower of communities. And we already do, because Lord knows anthroposophy is practiced like that in a lot of places in the world. The more difficult, the unaskable question is, can we develop something called imaginative cognition? And there are some among us who would like to try this. I want to say, this is impossible from the perspective of contemporary just discourse around what knowledge is. Thank you. Yeah. Just about 15 more minutes. And includes, this is impossible to do. And I would like to mention there are two other schools of contemplative practices within our School for Spiritual Science, which has not been mentioned enough for my comfort in our gathering. Also the Goethe and the spiritual source of all of what has made our initiatives fruitful and filled with love. Of course, they have all of their weaknesses, etc. And that is practices in inspiration and intuition. And these are not vague words. These are practices that are described very specifically, and they make up the foundation of the School for Spiritual Science. Now, we may be wrong. We are not guaranteed to be right. This is a path of knowledge. But there is no other spear that can put the dragon in its place than a science of the spirit. And but how can you make a science that is based on love instead of striving for power? That is the question of the Anthroposophical movement. And it's not really allowed to be a question, but we have to ask it in all of our hereticism, in my opinion. And I'm going to have to go and be the bullseye's target in Dornach and keep asking this. Thank you for indulging an extra minute.